thanks for stopping by my channel. It's really appreciated. I'm going to apologise in advance because this unboxing will be done with me on my knees in front of my bed because my cat has decided to pinch my computer chair next to my desk where I would normally do it, and I haven't got the heart to move him. So we're going to do the unboxing from down here. Stay with us. Z9 unboxing. Well, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what time of day it is wherever you are located in the world. This is a short unboxing. I have decided reluctantly to take the plunge and move over to mirrorless systems. Hence you're looking at a Nikon Z9 with an FTZII adapter and a couple of Sony memory cards. Why have I switched over? It is reluctant. I have two beautiful Nikon D500 bodies, and anybody who visits my channel, or even if it's your first time, if you look at some of my footage and stills, you'll see why I love my D500 so much. I think they will go down in history with Nikon as probably one of the best crop sensor cameras for wildlife photography ever. In fact, they are the only one for me. I've used two Nikon D500s since about 2016. They're brilliant cameras, and very reluctantly I've decided to chop them in. Why? Simply because of value. The values are falling away, as is the value of f-glass now, because Nikon have switched completely to mirrorless systems with their new Z glass. I find the new Z glass extremely expensive, so much so that even an 80-400 f4 f5.6 is somewhere in the region of a couple of grand. For an amateur lens, I find that absolutely bonkers. Hence the fact I've gone for the FTZII adapter, because I have some great f-glass, Nikon 600 f4AF, a Nikon 500mm, and a couple of other fairly short zoom telephoto Nikons. So I've switched over, but like I said, the D500s were great cameras, and they'll go down in history along with the Nikon F4S for me. When I used to work at Jessop's many years ago, sold a lot of Nikon F4Ss. They were the workhorse of film cameras back then, along with a couple of Canons. The EOS systems are good as well. But anyway, let's get on with this unboxing. I've switched over reluctantly. It's cost me a bit, but I got a good trade-in from a company down in Cardiff, proper camera shop, not just some warehouse online. They're a proper camera company in Cardiff. They offered me a fairly decent trade-in on my two Nikon D500s. I could have got more selling them privately, but then you lose out with postage costs, you lose out with eBay fees if you stick it on there. And to be fair, eBay is probably the best place to sell it, especially if you can get an 80% off seller's fees. But I've took the plunge, got rid of them, and here we are. So this is a brief unboxing, and we're going to start with this, with the memory card, then we'll move on to the FTZ, and then we'll do the Z9 last. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to zoom in on the camera so that you get a better look of what's inside these boxes. So here we are, a bit more zoomed in, gives you a better close-up look. I'm controlling a great big massive video camera here, by the way, on my own. I should have got somebody to come in and help me, but hey ho, here we go. So we've got a couple of Sony Tough 128GB memory cards. I don't really need to unbox these, so I'm not going to bother. They are what they are. We all know what a memory card looks like. These are quite expensive as well. The other thing I've noticed now, obviously with the Z9 system, Nikon have moved away to CF Express cards. And again, it's all a bit of a con in my opinion. You know, what was wrong with XQD? Why couldn't we just make them a little bit faster? What was wrong with Compact Flash? Why couldn't we make them a little bit faster? What was wrong with SD? Why can't we make them a little bit faster? Why do we have to keep changing memory cards all the while? Gripe over, there are a couple of memory cards, I'm not going to bother opening them, we'll get them out of the way. Let's do the FTZII adapter. So what is this? So this basically, if you don't want to use a mirrorless glass, as in Nikon Z glass, then obviously if you've still got some Nikon F glass lying around, this adapter fits between the Nikon Z9 camera body and your F glass Nikon lens to enable you to use it. Now it only works, I should point out, with the more modern AFS lenses. AFS and beyond, you've got no problems at all the current Nikon VR lenses it will work with. Anything that's like Nikon D that doesn't have the silent wave motor, AFS, will not work. You'll be using manual focus, so that's the decision you have to make at the time. Obviously all my lenses have VR in them, so I know that this adapter will work. So let's unbox it and have a look and see what we get. It's a typical Nikon box, by the way. They're quite sturdy. I've noticed over the years that Nikon's packaging is it's not as nice as it used to be, but it is what it is. It protects the items that are inside, and that's what really matters. As with all Nikons, and with probably any camera, we get a plethora of instructions, which to me are just a waste of time. If you can't get an adapter and put it between your camera body and your lens, then you shouldn't be taking photographs in the first place. So I don't really need that, and I doubt whether anybody who buys this system or this adapter will need it either. So we'll get rid of that. Other than that, inside the box, if I tip it over, obviously we've got a bit of bubble wrap. I'm assuming that will be a bag. Get rid of the box, and inside the bag there will be a Nikon FTZ adapter, which is inside another bag. It's a bit like pass the parcel. So again, well packaged, well protected. Nothing's taped up though, I notice. And that's it. So obviously under this cover, here is your Nikon Z body connections. They're all the points of electrical contacts for your Nikon Z body. And on the opposite side, we have, in there you probably can't see it, but inside, just inside the well, are all the Nikon F-glass connections. And those F-glass connections then connect to the Nikon Z connections, which communicate with the camera body. So that's your Nikon FTZII. What do I have to say about it? Well, the first thing I've noticed is it's extremely light. I know it's just a hollow tube, but that is probably half the weight of my Nikon 1.4 converter. It is really, really light, so I'm guessing this is mainly just a piece of plastic with just some metal contact points in it. It looks reasonably solid. With the FTZ2 adapter, there's no difference, by the way, between the FTZ2 and the FTZ adapter. They both work identically. There's no difference other than the fact that the FTZ adapter has a big bulky tripod mount on the bottom of it, which if you're using a Z9 tends to get in the way of the grip, the vertical grip. So that Nikon decided they'd get rid of that. If you've got a Z6, Z7, Z8, I suppose that the FTZ adapter is fine for you, and they're available second-hand really cheap now. These are about 250 quid. I know, expensive for what it is. Again, just a hollow tube, bit of plastic and some electronic contacts. 250 quid, but obviously it gets rid of that bulky piece that gets in the way of the grip on the Z9, which is why I went for the FTZ2. So that's that. We'll put this away later. And I guess the moment we've all been waiting for really is the Nikon Z9 in the box. And again, you know, I prefer Nikon's old boxes. Not that it makes any difference, because this box will end up in my loft along with everything. By the way, if you do buy camera gear, anything you buy, always keep the boxes, ladies and gents, because when you come to trade them in, as I've just done with mine, I got a bit more value out of mine because everything was boxed. In fact, with the two D500s, I hadn't used the camera straps, two brand new D500 camera straps still in the bag, hadn't used the instructions, hadn't used lots of stuff, hadn't used the leads and the chargers because I'd already got chargers, so they've stayed in the box in my loft. So everything basically was boxed up and new. I'd actually put silicone covers over my D500 bodies to protect them from the elements and to protect the grips and the rubbers, which can perish after a while of consistent use. So look after your gear, you know, because it does pay to look after it, because obviously the resale value is increased. My last two D500s, by the way, one had a shutter count of about 47,000, and my spare body, which just sits on a Nikon 600 f4 AF, that never gets taken off that body. That had only got a shutter count of about 36,000, so they were very decent cameras, and both had the MB-D17 grips on when I sold them, which obviously increased the value by a few hundred quid more. This is the Z9. I'll open it from your way around, not my way around, and I've not opened this before either, so let's have a quick look. I noticed straight away, by the way, that there's no Nikon seal on here. I'm guessing Nikon have just stopped doing that, because the camera company I bought this through are an actual shop. I spoke to the guys down there. They would not have had this camera out of this box, so I'm guessing Nikon no longer use a seal, which once broken obviously tells us that somebody's been in the box and the camera's been out either for a demo or for somebody to look at. No such seal on here, so it's just a case of unflapping the tongue, lifting up the lid, and straight away we've got another cardboard flap here, and I see the manual straight away. If I tip this up for you, you can see the manual just slid down here. So the manual is under this flap. We'll take that out. One Nikon manual in various languages, ladies and gents. And again, I find these, you know, I'm 60 years old now. This will probably be one of the last mirrorless systems I buy. He says with his tongue stuffed well into his cheek. Hopefully it will. I'm not really sure though. They'll probably bring out the Z10 tomorrow just to annoy me, won't they? That's what usually happens. They did that with many cameras I bought. Once I bought one, within a few months they brought out and superseded it with another one, and then your camera prices start plummeting. You know, this camera's just, I paid just shy of £5,000 for this body, which I'm guessing in 12 months time won't be worth that at all. Anyway, I digress. Instruction book, no good to me. I'm a glasses wearer. Even in this text, I can read it, but it's too small. I know how this camera works basically anyway, so I won't be using that. That will stay in the box so that when I get rid of this camera, if I ever do, the instruction book is still in the box and unused. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, if you want an instruction book for a camera, just get the PDF file online. You can put it on your computer screen, which is probably a lot bigger. You can blow it up if you've got really poor eyesight like me, and hopefully Bob's your uncle. Quick point as well, if you are a glasses wearer and you're thinking of buying a Nikon Z9, I did notice that in the accessories there are no eyesight corrections available. And now there is obviously a diopter adjustment on the camera viewfinder itself, and I think that's either +3 to -4 or +4 to -3, not sure what it is. But if your eyesight falls outside of those two categories, there are no other eyesight corrections, as in a DK adapter that you can screw onto the viewfinder. Not yet anyway, so I'm hoping that the diopter adjuster on this Z9 is within my eyesight range, but we'll find out. I will do a review on this, by the way, as a wildlife photographer, and let you know what that review is like in a couple of weeks' time. So what else have we got? We've got another cover here which obviously lifts up your way. I'll just flop that one over, and straight away I can see two compartments here, one smallish one on the left and a bigger one on the right. So let's do the small one because I know that's not going to contain the camera, and it's not. So inside here we have a UK mains adapter. This will obviously plug into the battery charger for when we charge the EN-EL18 battery. If you're a D4 user, by the way, Nikon D4 user, I believe the battery is the same. It's an EN-EL18. I think it might be a D, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments down below. One Nikon Z9 strap. This won't get used. I don't like Nikon straps anyway. I have I think it's a sniper strap, which is much stronger and supports my heavier lenses a lot better, and I feel more comfortable with them hanging heavy lenses off them. What else have we got? Okay, one again lead. This is a USB to USB-C. I've got hundreds of those. That will stay in the bag, in the box, in the loft. And what have we got in here? Have not got a clue. If you know what they are, let me know. We've got a little screw nail here that screws onto something, and this looks like some sort of cable tie. Maybe it's to do with the battery charger. Really don't know. We'll find out. If you know, drop a comment in the comments box and let me know to save me trying to find out what it does. That probably won't get used either. Battery charger, much smaller than the ones you used to get. I think did they supply a twin one with the D3 and D4? I can't really remember. I don't think they did. I think you could buy them separately. One battery charger, typical Nikon battery charger, small, compact. You've got a calibration button on here. Obviously the USB-C connection on the back for your mains adapter, and then obviously the points and pinpoints for your battery charger. And we've got 2 hours, 4 hours and 6 hours charging, or whatever those markings will mean. I will find out when I charge the battery for the first time. So that's the battery charger. I'll pack all this away later. That will obviously be used, but I have ordered another battery for this, so I will buy a dual battery charger, probably an aftermarket one, not a Nikon one, because I don't think they do one yet. And there should be as well a battery. Here it is, one battery. Everything packaged up. Nothing's taped down, I've noticed, but everything is taped up. And again, with Nikon, to protect the battery terminals, we do have a cover in place, and that is stiff. There we go. One Nikon EN-EL18 3300 mAh battery. And again, this will probably last. Nikon batteries are very good. I don't know why, they do seem to last almost a lifetime. I've never had one that's failed on me yet, or I've never had one that wouldn't take a charge. I've never had one that depleted its charge quickly. They are great batteries, and again, that will obviously get used, because otherwise I can't use the camera. So that's what's in the left hand side for me, or the right hand side for you. But now the moment obviously you've all been waiting for, the unboxing of a Z9. This will be the first time I've actually touched it as well, and it is quite tight in there, which is snug and nice. And again, we have it's not even an anti-static bag, it's just a plastic bag. Inside that there's a bubble wrap bag, and I'm going to do this with clean hands. I did wash my hands before I got this. Do a Jared Polin, shall I, and give it a smell. No, it doesn't smell of anything to me, but then again, my sense of smell isn't what it used to be. So let's get rid of, in fact we'll use the box as a platform for now. Let's just fold this back in. Nope, that one goes first. That one goes second and third. and we'll just use the box as a platform for now. So here is your Z9 from the front. I will not remove the front lens cover. I know there's a sensor cover in there, but there's no battery in this yet, and I'm not sure what I'm going to expose if I undo that, if the sensor's covered or not. And here it is now. First impressions are, obviously there's no battery in this. It is quite light. I would say it's no heavier than my D500s without a battery in. What I'm trying to say here is if I take the battery out of my D500, which does have the MB-D17 grip on it, so if I take the battery out of that, this is about an equivalent weight as well without a battery in. So I'm guessing that once I put the battery in here, this is going to be about the same weight as my Nikon D500. Can't see it being any heavier. And the first thing I notice is on the back, some of the buttons are in different places. They're going to take a bit of getting used to. But straight away, I do like the fact that the play button is now down here, which is going to fall under my right thumb rather than under a finger up here on the left-hand side of the camera. That's really going to narc people who are left-handed, I think, because they probably love the fact that the play button was up here. But now Nikon have moved it down here for right-handed people. Sorry, all you left-handers. Also, this back panel does illuminate, I've seen that, but unlike my D500, which illuminates every button, not every button on the back of this Z9 illuminates. There is a reason for that, and I find it a very sensible reason. A lot of the buttons on the D500 used to illuminate that you didn't use at night anyway. So Nikon have narrowed that down now, and to save on battery usage, they've only illuminated now the buttons at night that you are likely to use. And I think that's a good idea. In general, that's a great idea. The other thing I've noticed is there's no viewfinder cover, so you can't slide this over for shooting at night. Maybe because it's now a mirrorless camera, so a light coming in here doesn't make any difference to the sensor. I'm guessing that must be the answer. So that's the back of the camera. We've done the front of the camera. You have all your FN buttons in place, still as with all Nikon cameras. The top plate here for your mode selectors, your bracketing, your flash compensation, and this looks like frame rates up here. The dial is the same to move. You press the little button down here and you can move the dial from timer to continuous shooting to silent mode, I guess, or single shooting mode. And that's it. On the side we have your usual HDMI ports, headphone in ports, microphone out ports. What else have we got on there? Oh, and USB for connecting the camera to a computer. And on the other side, now I have been told this is awkward. On the other side we have the Compact Flash Express, that's the word, I'm going to struggle to remember that. The Compact Flash Express door for your 2 Compact Flash Express cards. I've been told this is awkward to open because you have to take this button and push it down whilst at the same time pulling out. It does sound like a pain, let's give it a go. It is awkward because you're having to use 2 fingers, not those 2, but you're having to use 2 fingers. So what initial thoughts of what's likely to fail on this camera? Well, my D500 battery doors are similar to this. I've never had one fail on me, but these are the only moving parts in this camera. With it being mirrorless, there's nothing inside that moves, so the only things that are likely to fail are things that you open and close on the outside, this door being one of them. But I've never had one fail on a D500. You've probably never had one fail on your D3, D4, D, whatever it is you use. These they don't look very good, but they are. They just last and tend not to break down. What does break down are the rubbers. And I've replaced a couple on my D500s. I've got genuine Nikon rubbers. If you need some rubbers, by the way, for your camera, I'm not talking about condoms here. If you need rubbers for your camera, use genuine ones, because if you buy aftermarket ones, they tend not to have the double-sided tape all over them underneath, and you have bits that keep popping up because it's not sticking down properly. You have to buy the proper Nikon ones. If you're in the UK, these are provided by FIXATION. I'm not being paid by FIXATION for saying this. I bought some from FIXATION. They are genuine Nikon ones. When you look at the back of them, you'll see some white tape covering the double-sided scotch. That'll have numbers and letters on it, which tells you it's genuine Nikon. If you've got white tape without any letters and numbers, they're not genuine Nikon parts. I'm actually going to be selling some on eBay soon because I bought a load to replace with my D500s and I've not used them. I've used a couple, so they're going to go on eBay. So the rubbers do go, as do the grip rubbers. Anywhere you're holding the camera, you'll wear those out eventually. And I've noticed as well that these rubber covers on the doors here, they're not quite as sturdy as they are on my D500. These are held on by little notches now. They're going to be very easy to lose and break. So I'm going to see how long these last. I don't think they'll last very long at all. But we'll see. I don't open these up and use them a lot. HDMI I do because I connect an external monitor to my cameras occasionally, especially when I'm on a long lens. And that's it. So that's that side. We've done the compact flash side, and you've got your normal tripod foot on the bottom. That is, ladies and gentlemen, £5,000 worth of Nikon Z9, and I hope it lives up to the hype, and I hope it lives up to the fact that I've traded in two perfectly beautiful cameras in my D500s to move over to mirrorless, and I'm really hoping this doesn't let me down. I will do a review, so keep watching this page. I will do a review. I'm going to have it for a couple of weeks, get used to where the buttons and the gizmos are. Once I've done that, I'll shoot some wildlife on it, come back and give you my honest review of this. I'm not being paid by anybody for doing these. In fact, you can like these videos, you can dislike them. I don't care. I'm not being paid money for them. I'm a Nikon user, a Nikon fan. I've used Nikon all of my life, 42 years. I'm older than 42, but I've used Nikon for 42 years. I will do a review, keep watching for it. It will be an honest review, and I'll give you my exact thoughts. It will be a review though for wildlife photography, not for weddings, not for portraits, not for landscapes, not for anything else other than wildlife photography. If you photograph moving things like aircraft, skateboarders, it will come in handy for you, because I will photograph birds in flight, some of whom move slowly, some of which move at lightning speeds like peregrine falcons who can dive at 150, 160 miles an hour. So it will get a good test from me, and I will give you my honest review of how I will compare it to the D500s, because that is my benchmark camera. To be honest with you, there hasn't been a better camera than a D500 for wildlife photography ever. None of them. Not the D5, the D6, full frame, no good. Use a crop sensor, get more reach out of your f-glass lenses straight away. You're getting 1.5 times the reach. So if you're using I'm not going to go into the calculations, I can't be bothered, but I get more reach using a crop sensor. This will probably get used in crop sensor. I will hardly ever use this in full frame, because when I go into crop sensor and put a 600mm lens on here, I can times that by 1.4 straight away. And if I use a 1.4 times converter, you've got another 1.4 on top of the 1.4, which gives you an immense amount of reach, because as a wildlife photographer, you can never have enough reach. That's my unboxing. Stay tuned, subscribe, hit the button below, like it, dislike it, I don't care. Stay well, take care, wherever you are in the world, stay well.